When a narcissist realizes you're no longer interested, something deep inside them begins to shake. Not because they truly loved you in a healthy way, but because they were used to your attention, your energy, your presence. The moment you grow quiet, the moment you stop chasing, they feel a strange emptiness. It is like a fire that suddenly loses its fuel. There's a proverb that says, where there is no wood, the fire goes out. Your silence becomes that missing wood. And suddenly they notice you more than ever before. There's a story of a woman who always answered every call, every message, every demand from a man who only came to her when it suited him. One day she stopped. No explanations, no drama, just peace. At first he laughed, thinking it was a game. But days turned into weeks, and her silence became louder than any argument. He started calling more, texting more, even showing up at her door. Why? Because you never miss the water until the well runs dry. When your attention is no longer available, its value suddenly rises. A narcissist often reacts with confusion. They may test you. They might send a casual message like nothing happened, pretending everything is normal. This is not love. It is control trying to re-enter. There is a wise saying, the one who cannot control you will try to control how others see you. When you no longer respond the way they expect, they feel like they are losing power. And for them, losing control feels like losing everything. In another story, a young man spent years trying to please someone who constantly criticized him. No matter what he did, it was never enough. One day, he simply walked away and chose himself. The narcissist laughed at first, telling others he would come back. But he never did. Months later, the same person who once belittled him began speaking kindly about him, even trying to reconnect. Why? Because a diamond is only recognized when it is no longer in your hand. Your absence reveals your true worth. Sometimes when a narcissist realizes you are truly done, they may try to love bomb you again. They may suddenly become kind, attentive, and apologetic. They will say all the words you once longed to hear, but remember the proverb. The snake may shed its skin, but it remains a snake. Change is not in words, it is in consistent actions over time. Do not be fooled by temporary sweetness that hides old patterns. There's also pain in this moment, not just for them, but for you too. Walking away is not easy. You may remember the good times, the laughter, the hope you once had. But there is a wise quote, do not drink poison just because you are thirsty. Missing someone does not mean they are good for you. Loving yourself sometimes means letting go of what once felt like everything. In the end, when a narcissist realizes you're no longer interested, the greatest power you hold is your peace, not revenge, not proving a point, just peace. As another proverb says, silence is the best answer to a fool. Your calm, your growth, your quiet strength, these speak louder than any words ever could. And in that silence, you finally become free. The discussion goes deeper when we begin to understand that a narcissist is not reacting to love lost, but to supply lost. What they miss is not always you as a person, but what you gave. That is attention, validation, admiration, emotional energy. That is why when you withdraw, they suddenly seem interested again. There's a proverb that says, the drum sounds louder when it is empty. Their sudden noise is not always love, it is often emptiness speaking. You may also notice a shift in their behavior towards others. Sometimes they quickly replace you, trying to prove they never needed you. This is often called a rebound, but in truth, it is a distraction. There's a story of a man who lost a loyal friend but immediately surrounded himself with new people, laughing loudly in public. Yet at night, he sat in silence, restless. Why? Because no matter how many flowers you pick, you cannot replace the one that grew in your garden. Real connection leaves a mark that cannot be easily erased. Another common reaction is anger. When they realize they cannot pull you back, they may become cold, insulting, or even try to damage your reputation. This is not strength. It is wounded pride. There's a wise saying that goes, when the ego is hurt, the tongue becomes sharp. Do not take their words as truth. Often, people attack what they cannot control and try to destroy what they cannot understand. There is also a psychological shift that happens within you. The more you stay away, the clearer you begin to see. What once confused you starts to make sense. The emotional fog lifts. You begin to realize how much you tolerated, how much you overlooked. As the proverb says, distance shows what closeness hides. Healing begins the moment you stop returning to what hurt you. Let us consider another story. A woman once kept going back to someone who hurt her, believing each apology meant change. One day, she decided to observe instead of react. She watched actions, not words. Slowly, she saw the pattern. Apology, peace, pain, repeat. That awareness gave her strength to finally walk away. Wisdom is not in hearing words, but in seeing patterns. And once you see clearly, you cannot unsee. It is important to understand that closure does not always come from them. Many people wait for a narcissist to explain, to apologize sincerely, to admit wrong. But that day may never come. And even if it does, it may not be genuine. There's a powerful truth in this saying. Some doors are meant to be closed without explanation. Your healing does not depend on their understanding. It depends on your decision. Finally, the greatest part of this journey is your transformation. When you truly lose interest, not just in words but in your heart, you take your power back. You no longer feel the need to prove, to chase, or to explain. You become calm, grounded, and self-aware. And as the proverb says, he who knows his worth does not beg for attention. At that point, even if the narcissist returns, they will find someone they can no longer control. And that is your true victory. As the journey continues, you begin to understand something even deeper. Losing interest is not an event, it is a process. It does not happen overnight. It is built slowly through repeated disappointment, broken trust, and silent tears. There's a proverb that says, little drops of water make a mighty ocean. In the same way, little hearts, repeated again and again, slowly build the strength inside you to finally walk away. One day you wake up and realize your heart is no longer begging, it is resting. There's a story of a young woman who once waited all night for a message that never came. She cried, blamed herself, and tried harder the next day. But after many nights like that, something changed. One evening she put her phone aside, made herself tea, and chose sleep over stress. That small decision marked the beginning of her freedom. Because peace begins the moment you choose yourself. Sometimes healing starts with the simplest acts of self-respect. When a narcissist senses this shift, they often become more strategic. They may try to remind you of your past, bringing up old memories, inside jokes, shared dreams. They will attempt to pull on your strings. They'll pull your heartstrings. But remember the wise saying, not every memory deserves a reunion. Just because something was once beautiful does not mean it is still healthy. A memory can be sweet and still be dangerous if it pulls you back into pain. In some cases, they may even pretend to change. They will speak softly, act patiently, and mirror the version of themselves you always hoped for. It can feel confusing, even tempting, but there is a deep truth in this proverb. A borrowed mask will eventually slip. Real change is consistent, quiet, and proven over time. Not rushed, not dramatic, not desperate. Do not trade your healing for temporary comfort. Another story tells of a man who kept returning to someone who hurt him because the few moments of kindness they showed. One day an elder told him, if a cup of water has even a drop of poison, will you still drink it? That question stayed with him. He finally understood that occasional kindness does not cancel consistent harm. And so he chose to walk away, not because he stopped caring, but because he started caring about himself more. As you grow stronger, you may notice something surprising. The things that once triggered you no longer have power. Their silence does not hurt you. Their presence does not excite you. Their words do not move you. This is growth. As the proverb says, when the lion learns to ignore the noise of the jungle, it becomes truly powerful. Your strength is no longer in reacting, it is in remaining unshaken. There is also a quiet grief that comes with this transformation. You are not just losing a person, you are letting go of the version of them you believed in. The dream, the hope, the what could have been, that can be painful. But remember this wise quote, do not mourn the illusion. Celebrate the truth that set you free. Sometimes what hurts is not what was real, but what we wished was real. In time, you begin to rebuild yourself. You rediscover your joy, your voice, your identity. You start doing things without fear of judgment. You laugh again freely. You breathe again deeply, and slowly you realize something powerful. You were never too much. They were simply not enough for you. As the saying goes, a person who cannot see your value will always underestimate your presence. There is a story of a seed planted in poor soil. It struggled to grow, received little water, little care. For a long time, it looked weak and lifeless. But one day it was moved to fertile ground. With proper care, it began to bloom beautifully. The seed did not change, the environment did. You cannot grow in places that do not nurture you. Walking away is sometimes the only way to bloom. When a narcissist sees that you are no longer reacting, no longer chasing, and no longer available, they may feel a deep sense of loss. But it is mixed with confusion. They cannot understand why their usual tactics no longer work. That is because you have changed the rules. As the proverb says, you cannot play the same game with someone who has left the field. Your absence breaks their pattern. At this stage, they may try one last attempt, either by reaching out again or by trying to provoke you indirectly. But by now, you see clearly, you understand the cycle, and you choose differently. There is wisdom in this saying. The strongest person is not the one who wins every battle, but the one who knows which battles to walk away from. Your silence becomes your shield. There is also power in forgiveness, not for them, but for yourself. Holding on to anger can keep you emotionally tied to the past. Letting go frees your heart. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or allowing them back. It simply means releasing the weight. As the proverb says, carrying anger is like carrying hot coal. It burns you more than anyone else. So, set yourself free. Another beautiful truth emerges. You begin to attract different people, healthier connections, deeper conversations, genuine care. This is because you have raised your standards. You no longer accept what once felt normal. As the saying goes, when you know your worth, you stop giving discounts. And suddenly your life begins to reflect that value. There's a story of a traveler who kept returning to a broken bridge, hoping it would hold his weight one day. Each time he fell and got hurt. One day he chose a different path, longer but safer. Along that path, he discovered new places, new people, new opportunities. Sometimes the longer road leads to a better destination. Walking away may feel hard, but it often leads to peace you never imagined. As time passes, the narcissist becomes a lesson, not a longing. You no longer feel drawn to them. Instead, you feel grateful for what you learned, your strength, your resilience, your ability to rise. There is a wise saying, turn your wounds into wisdom. Every experience, even painful ones, can shape you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. And finally, you reach a place where your interest is not just gone. It is replaced with self-respect. You no longer wonder what they are doing or whether they miss you. Your focus shifts completely to your own life. Your growth becomes your priority. Your peace becomes your goal. As the proverb beautifully says, a calm heart is better than a crowded mind. In the end, when a narcissist realizes you are no longer interested, the real story is not about them, it is about you. your awakening, your healing, your transformation. Because the greatest victory is not making them realize your worth, it is realizing it yourself. And once you do, you never go back. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've learned a thing or two. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.